Fighting a war Hamas started by massacring 1,200 Israelis and taking over 250 babies, children, women, and men hostage. Hamas has spent the last 16 years preparing densely populated areas for attacks on the IDF. Homes are booby-trapped, roads are mined, tunnels under schools are filled with explosives. Hamas uses the urban areas to cause destruction. Hamas militants also try to protect themselves by dressing as civilians, hoping the IDF will hesitate in firing back. These unlawful practices make it extremely dangerous for civilians in Gaza. Instead of protecting its population from the dangers of war, Hamas purposely endangers them. Hamas says openly it protects the army over its civilians and is willing to sacrifice its people in its fight to destroy Israel. For this reason exactly, the IDF has been investing significant resources to try and help Gazans get out of areas of intense fighting so they cannot be used by Hamas as human shields. One of the ways we try to do this is using an integrated system of 1. Maps, 2. Messaging through different channels, and 3. Real-time monitoring of the civilian environment. We then use this numbering system to warn of operational activity in specific areas, giving the people enough time to leave temporarily, as well as information about where to go and how to get there. Here, for example, on December 13th, the IDF's Arabic social media account posted that residents of specific numbered blocks, which are in parts of Khan Yunis, should evacuate to 3 shelters in the south that are known to the IDF. These messages are also given on Gazan radio, mass text messages, and recorded phone calls. This was ahead of intensive IDF strikes in that neighborhood against Hamas command and control centers, weapons depots, militants, and rocket launching sites. We then use a range of tools, social media, technological identification tools, and intelligence to monitor civilian movement and provide updates to IDF forces in the air, sea, and ground as to changes in the civilian environment. In order to make sure the messages reach as wide as possible, we use radio broadcasts, TV messages, text messages, pre-recorded phone calls, and individual phone calls. To date, the IDF has made more than 1 million phone calls, 1 million text messages, airdropped leaflets, and individual phone calls. The IDF is making these efforts solely in order to save lives. The IDF has made it clear that these recommendations for evacuation are temporary, and that once the IDF has achieved its goals of returning the hostages and defeating Hamas, no more evacuations will be necessary. The IDF makes efforts to ensure that evacuated civilians have access to shelters or humanitarian zones, and continues to work with international organizations to facilitate the entry of aid into Gaza, setting up field hospitals and exit from Gaza for medical patients. The IDF is investing these efforts in fulfillment of its commitment to international law and its ethics. Israel is at war with Hamas, not the people of Gaza. While these efforts have saved and will save lives, they are not foolproof, and we will continue to work to do more. We see every civilian death as a tragedy, and we will continue to try and help Gazans escape the clutches of Hamas, while we seek to release our hostages and make sure Hamas can never attack us again.